Hi everybody, I hope you guys are ready to learn about grammar today because that is exactly what we are going to do. Today we are going to talk about the third conditional verb tense. Okay, it's one of the most advanced and can be also one of the most confusing verb tenses. So let's start. Okay, so let's start with a review. Just because, this is a very advanced verb tense, I want to go over the other conditional verb tenses just very quickly, a quick review, so that you don't get any of these confused with the third conditional verb tense. Okay, so let's start with conditional zero. Okay, conditional zero is things that are always true when something specific happens. Okay, so for example, if I am late, my boss isn't happy. Okay, that's something that happens regularly, okay, in the present tense, and when when X happens, Y happens, okay, so it's cause and effect. When this happens, this happens. All right, number two, if our customers ask for something, we do it. Okay, whenever our customers ask for something, we do it. Always. If he can't do it, nobody can do it. Okay? So now let's move on. Like I said, this is going to be a quick review to conditional one. Conditional one is used for situations that are possible or likely to happen if something else happens first. Okay? But it hasn't happened yet. So for example, if it doesn't work, we will give you a refund. Number two, if I don't get vacation time, I can't come visit you. And number three, if they don't get the visa, they won't be able to travel. Okay, so you can see a lot of these conditional tenses are starting with the word if. Okay, usually that's how it starts. It might start with a pronoun and if be in the middle of the sentence, but most of the time if is in that sentence somewhere. Alright, and now we have conditional two. Conditional two gives an imaginary result for a hypothetical situation. So, for example, if you studied more, you would pass the exam. Okay, now I want you to realize here with conditional two is possible. Okay, it's something that still has the possibility of happening. Okay, so if you studied more, you would pass the exam. That means the exam has not happened yet. Okay? Now number two, I would lower taxes if I were the president. Okay? If I were the president, I would lower taxes. There is still maybe a very small possibility of this person becoming the president. Okay? And if that happens, this is what he would do. Alright, and then number three, we would buy a house if we had more money. Okay? They are still capable of getting more money. Maybe they will get a raise at their job. Maybe they will win the lottery. Maybe they will find $1,000 on the street. I don't know, but it's still possible. Okay, so they still have a possibility of buying a house in the future. Alright, now conditional three. This is why I wanted you to remember that conditional two still has that possibility. Conditional three. In the third conditional, we talk about the past. We talk about a condition in the past that did not happen. Okay, very important here. There is no possibility for this condition. Okay, it gives a hypothetical situation and an imaginary result. Okay, so hypothetical situation and imaginary result, that's similar to conditional two. But unlike conditional two, there is no possibility for conditional three to happen. Okay, conditional 2 can still happen. Conditional 3 cannot. Okay, so there are 2 ways that you can create sentences in the third conditional verb tense. Okay, the first way is going to be with the word if, okay, starting with the word if. It's very common, okay? What you do is you start with the word if, then you have the pronoun, the past participle, the rest of the phrase, you know, any extra words that you need to add in there. Then a comma, okay, remember that comma is very important. Let me show you right here where it is. Okay, at the end of those extra little additional words comes the comma, okay, when the sentence starts with if. Alright, and then after that, you have the pronoun, the words would have, the past participle, and the rest of the sentence. Okay, so I know it looks like a lot. I'm trying to break it down for you in the simplest way possible, but it's really not too bad when you think about it. Okay, just remember the word if, pronoun, past participle, pronoun, would have, past participle. Okay, it's really that easy. Okay, so now let's look at some examples. Number 1. If I'd worked at the other company, I wouldn't have gotten as many benefits. Okay, so this section here, if I'd worked at the other company, the part in red, is the hypothetical situation. Okay, this did not happen. So what this means that the person speaking did not work at the other company. Okay, that's a hypothetical situation, and this green part, the green text, is the imaginary fact of the hypothetical situation. Okay, so if the red part had happened, then the green part would have happened after that. Okay, if I'd worked at the other company, I wouldn't have gotten as many benefits. Okay, which is probably why they are not working at that company now, because there was another company that offered them more benefits. Okay, so number 2, if he had prepared for the exam, he would have passed. What does this mean? This means that he did not prepare for the exam and he did not pass. Okay, he did not prepare for the exam, he took the exam already, and he did not pass it. But if we rewind in time and go back in time, then if he had actually prepared for it, then he would have passed the exam. Okay, but that's not possible anymore. Okay, now we're going to take a look at Form 2. Basically what this is, it's cutting Form 1 in half, and it's moving the if clause to the bottom. So here we start with the pronoun, then the words would have, then the past participle, and then possibly a few more words in there that describes the rest of that clause, of what we're trying to say. Then we have the if clause. If, the pronoun, and the past participle, and then the rest of the sentence. Okay, so like I said, we cut it in half and we switched it around. Alright, so let's take a look at some examples right here. We would have gotten here earlier if there hadn't been traffic. Okay, so the hypothetical situation is if there hadn't been traffic, but we are starting with the imaginary effect, okay? Instead of starting with the hypothetical situation, we are starting with the imaginary result or effect, okay? And then the second part of the sentence is the hypothetical situation. Okay, so in this case, you start with the effect, and the effect is we would have gotten here earlier, and then we move on to the hypothetical situation if there hadn't been traffic. Okay? Now remember, would have is always with the imaginary effect or the imaginary result of the hypothetical situation. Okay? Would have is the effect or the result. And now number 2, he would have asked me if he'd heard anything about it. Okay, so you can also say, if he'd heard anything about it, he would have asked me. Okay, either way, it's fine. Both ways are fine. The only difference is that you cut the sentence in half, you switch the 2 clauses around, and when you don't start with the if clause, then you do not need a comma. Okay, I don't know if you realize, but here in these sentences there are no commas, okay? Only in form 1. Again, very important if you're going to be taking an exam sometimes there. Okay, so that's it, guys. I hope that this cleared a lot of things up for you. I hope it was easy to follow. And let's continue on with the rest of the lesson. Okay, in the next video, you'll be learning how to make questions in the third conditional verb tense. All right, bye-bye.